Hi folks, how are you doing? The Tigran Petrosian Memorial started today in Moscow. Well, officially it's called the Tashir Chess Tournament, I think, in memory of Tigran Petrosian or something, but we'll just call it Petrosian Memorial. And we have 8 strong players playing in Moscow. Very nice tournament. We have Armenian #1, Aronian, some mixture of veteran and young players such as Kramnik, Morozievich. We have Grischuk, the Chinese young star, Liren, Peter Leko, the Hungarian veteran player, and we also have who else? Ernesto Inarkiev, right? The young man, probably dark horse of the tournament. Another Russian player, and who's going to be one of the players we're gonna see in the first game here. There are 4 games in each round, and today we saw hard-fought draws in the rest of the game, but the one we're gonna see here was the only one with a decisive result, and I think there was no doubt it was the most interesting and exciting and coolest game. We have Alexander Grischuk with white pieces and Ernesto Inarkiev, who's a beginner in these elite tournaments, with black pieces. Let's see what happened. I think it's a very instructive game, by the way. It's a very nice game. I really love this game. Such a classy performance. Knight f3 was played, knight f6, and Grischuk goes for a Catalan structure with g3. Inarkiev plays d5, bishop g2, black takes, and white castles. And after bishop e7, well, this is a very well known position, classical open Catalan, where Grischuk plays knight a3, just willing to recapture simply the pawn back. Black plays c5, grabbing some space. Knight takes c4 and knight c6. In the database there are roughly 60-70 games with this position, and white is scoring really well from here. I mean, it doesn't seem that black has made any mistakes or something. He's just developed sound pieces into the center, just some sound moves. But as we're gonna see, white gets a smooth and comfortable edge thanks to well placed pieces in just a couple of moves. So the way to play this position is to play b3 and go for double fianchetto. Inarkiev castles and bishop to b2. Here already Ernesto thought for a while, as white bishops do not allow him to completely complete development that safely, that easily. Black is lacking some space, and well, his development is certainly suffering a little bit. It's really strange to see, I mean, GM's suffering a little bit this early. We're only at move number 9, and you can say this is a very obscure line. I mean, I don't know, Catalan seems rather predictable opening, but you know, black already has some slight problems here, which Ernesto Inarkiev wasn't able to solve in time. He played bishop to d7, but white already has some pressure, and Grischuk plays very precisely. He plays d4 very fastly, which is not very normal in him at all. I mean, usually you see him with 2 minutes with 15 moves to make, but here he had a really great time advantage, which is I think the first time I see it. And after d4 he's already claiming some space control in the center, pushing his pawns, his complete development, his pieces are well placed, and black has to make a decision here. Well, takings was certainly a possibility, but not a very pleasant one. Knight takes, and there is already pressure, as you can see, on c6, and if some natural move like rook c8, well, now knight b5 was a, for instance, possibility, putting pressure on a7. Also d6 could be an interesting hole to get into, and black isn't that happy out of the opening. So once again, as I said, Inarkiev was already thinking for a while here. He finally played rook c8, but now d takes was played, bishop takes, and the key move and the precise move here is to play knight d6, placing a very well placed knight on this d6 hole, attacking the rook, attacking the pawn. Also note how the bishop on b2 is putting pressure on the big diagonal. So already white is looking very comfortable here, and this is what I like about this game. White gets some edge, some real slight but very stable edge thanks to his better positioning of the pieces, and he keeps pushing, he keeps improving pieces until black cracks under the pressure. Rook went to c7. May not look very beautiful, but what else? Taking there was leading to this endgame, probably leading to this endgame, which was very ugly. Queen e7 was what's suggested here, looks natural. Queen takes, knight takes, and now knight e5, for instance, attacking a little bit the bishop on d7. And the key to the position are white's bishop pair excellently placed on b2 and g2, controlling all the diagonals, both great diagonals, controlling all the squares. White is much better, definitely. This is very comfortable and a nice position for white, so it wouldn't be very pleasant to go into this. So after knight d6, Inarkiev plays rook c7, but white keeps pushing, keeps improving his pieces. That's what I like about these positions. He just now develops another piece, rook to the open c file, attacking the bishop so far, forcing him to make a decision. b6, okay, and now comes another very precise and elegant maneuver by Sasha Grischuk, knight to g5, well, unleashing the power of the bishop on g2, but also getting prepared to recycle this knight to e4, as we're gonna see. Queen e7 was played, attacking the knight. Now knight on d6 would be hanging if it was black to move, but knight ge4, giving extra support to the strong knight on d6, which is cramping black's position. Here knight were exchanged on e4, and this is how it comes. Note how sound positional edge, like Grischuk has here, gives also tactical advantages, such as the rook on a7, on c7, which is not protected, and there is the rook on the c file. There is kind of a pin, kind of an X-ray there. Also white has some pressure on c5. Of course we have again the bishop pair on b2 and g2, exerting lots of pressure on both great diagonals. The queen is very active. So these are the kind of positions where really it's very instructive to see GMs how they play it. They keep pressing here, they keep putting pressure against black, improving their pieces, and things go for themselves. I mean, it's really the moves Grischuk can keep finding the moves by themselves because his pieces are that well placed. He really has very stable and a comfortable edge here. Black plays rook d8. Well, at least he gets a rook against this queen on the d file. But first Grischuk takes on c5 with the knight, b takes, and with this exchange he gets two long-term edges, which are already like having a good account of money in the bank. First of all, weak c pawn on the open c file, which is already attacked, and second, white gets the bishop pair. Black doesn't have the dark squared bishop anymore, which means that white's bishop pair is even stronger now, controlling both great diagonals and absolutely smashing all the board. Very fine move by Grischuk. Queen to e1 gets away from the dangerous d file. He doesn't want to be exposed to rook's attacks, but he's going to be recycling the queen through the dangerous dark squares. Well, Ernesto Inarkiev went back with his c rook to c8. Now it's not hanging there anymore on the c file. Little problem less for him, but of course this is not over. Queen to f3, absolutely activating the queen with two basic threats. Well, of course the checkmate threat is the main one, threatening checkmate in one, but also c5 is put under more pressure. Knight d4 is a move which defends against both threats, and well, has its own threat of forking the queen and the rook and the king if white is sleeping there, but rook fe1, just defend it. f6 was played here by Inarkiev. The problem for black here, he just cannot improve that easily his position, and white can. I mean, he's going to slowly keep improving his pieces while he keeps his threats there, he keeps his sound pawn structure, his well placed pieces, and black is really going to suffer a lot. Now just e3, the good knight of black must leave, it goes to b5, and now we see another weakness of black, a7, which is a potential weakness. Queen goes to a5, remaining active. Bishop went to e8, the queen controls more the 7th rank, and now rook e d1. Of course Grischuk knows that even if pieces are exchanged here, his advantage maybe will even increase, because pawn structure for black is much worse, his pieces are more active, so he's going to keep activity even in endgames. Queen c7 was played here. Inarkiev hopes he will be able to somehow survive a worse endgame, but we're gonna see Grischuk giving his here as a masterpiece, master class about positional endgames. Very finely played by Alexander here. He takes with the queen, rooks are exchanged on d file, and knight takes. We reach an endgame where white is clearly playing for only 2 results. Bishop pair, weaknesses for black. This is really very comfortable for white. If not winning right away, well, this is very ugly. Just to mention, both players were under severe time pressure here, and just before time control. There is a strange time control here. I think it's 100 minutes for 15 moves or something. It's a strange time control. So Inarkiev was at some moment he had like a minute or down. It was down a minute for lots of moves. Of course they have 30 seconds of increment with each move, but it was adding more pressure to him. And here we're gonna see the final stage of the game, the final technical delivery by Grischuk to convert his advantage into the full point. Rook c1, well, I want to take the pawn, why not? Rook d8, and here taking the pawn immediately wasn't that great, as black could get some activity, some counterplay, as if rook takes c5, now knight a6 could happen, attacking the rook, and if the rook goes back, for instance, to c1, rook d2, or rook on the 2nd rank, attacking the bishop, attacking a2, well, getting some activity back, and instead if rook c2, there is an easier move for black here. Knight b4, at least recovering a2, that is what it looks like. So very precisely and very wisely Alexander Grischuk keeps showing us how to keep control, how not to rush, keep improving your pieces. Now c3, bishop to c3, which controls d2, and also wants to go to a5, pinning this knight. Knight went to d5, bishop a5, attacking the rook. Knight back to b6, and now the other bishop tries to find better paths. Bishop to g6, f3, another important move. This bishop of black would be looking really great on e4, so Wyatt Low with pawn to f3. This bishop isn't going to e4 anymore. Rook to c8, black can't do really that much. Bishop a6, rook c6, bishop b5, rook back, and now it's time to win a pawn. Basically before winning a pawn and more or less the game. This is already kind of done. Inarkiev didn't play the most accurate moves. There were 2 major possibilities here. c4 is what they played, but b takes was another possibility. Rook takes, knight takes could happen. Now there's a key move here, very interesting and beautiful one. Not taking the pawn right away back, but bishop to d7, threatening to take the knight. Now e6, b5, b4, and also of course the knight are hanging, and if knight b6, well, bishop takes check, and if bishop f7, we could exchange into a very classical endgame. This really sounds like a Capablanca book. White is up a pawn, and the bishop should be much better than the knight in this endgame, where we have pawns in both flanks of the game. So should be of course winning endgame, this one. When instead Ernesto Inarkiev played c4, giving up the pawn this way, like bishop takes, no more defenders for the c pawn, so rook takes there. Finally, hard work and perseverance paid off for Grischuk. He won a pawn, and the endgame should be winning, so he slowly but steadily goes on to convert his pawn. Now rook went to the d file, rook d4, of course exchanging rooks here would be almost suicidal for black, so rook back to c8 and a4. Rook c3, here is where Inarkiev doesn't play the most accurate moves, but really it's not that easy here to defend resourcefully. Rook d6 was played by Grischuk, who was really merciless at this endgame phase, showing lots of technique here. Rook takes e3, king f2, rook b3, white takes on b6, and after this check, king goes up, another check, king goes to d4, e5 check, king c5, and even if black is taking on f3, covering pawns, even maybe winning some, this is at a very big cost. Basically the white king is getting very dangerous here, getting too active, and that's very favorable for white. I mean, material is not everything in chess, activity is much more important, and this is a very great example of that. White is giving back material, giving pawns back to slowly activate his king. Remember, it was on g1, so it went to c5 out of nowhere, and it's going to help improve white's position a lot. Pawns are not counting that much anymore here. Inarkiev took there, but now just look at black's king and compare it to the white colleague. Bishop c4 check, king f8, king d6. Black's king's position starting to look not very great. Bishop went to e8, but after rook b8 there is a very simple threat of playing bishop b5 and winning black's pinned bishop on e8, so Ernesto Inarkiev had enough for today and resigned the game. Really, Grischuk showing us why he's there with the better players in the world, with the best players in the world, currently ranked number 3 or number 4, just about to be 2800. Really great masterpiece by Alexander Grischuk, showing how much positional chess is worth nowadays. Thanks for watching.